Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. We're the Movie Couple. I'm Wendy.
I'm Dustin.
And this is our spoiler review for Lovecraft Country episode 8, Jig-A-Bobo. Wow, I already want to get into it. This is... Okay, before we do all of that...
It's tough because this is one of the best episodes we've seen.
Seriously. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of the episode, which is so good, this is a spoiler review, therefore it will contain spoilers. So if you're not caught up to Lovecraft Country and you don't want any spoilers, you should probably pause this video and put it on your watch later list, catch up all the way to episode 8, and then come on back because this is going to be chock full of spoiler talk. Mm-hmm. With that said, you have been warned. Like Dustin said, this is by far, in our opinion, the best episode, my favorite episode of this season of Lovecraft Country. I don't know if they're going to get to season 2. If they do, I think they have to go away from the book because I believe by the time we get to season 10, it probably they have already finished what's on the book. But yeah. I don't know because I'm not at that part of the book yet. Anyways.
We have not finished the book, so we still have no idea if we're in the middle and the end, or if they're going to do kind of what is that called? A Handmaid's Tale, and be once the first season's over, be hey, let's go into our own direction and start telling our own story kind of a thing, which I would be down for.
So previously, we were talking about the episode, I think it was episode 6. Yeah, episode 6 was my favorite.
Yes.
Until episode 8. That is now my favorite. And this one was written and directed by Misha Green, who was the showrunner. Oh. And oh my god, this had everything from story to imagery to the creatures, the twins.
Oh my god, those girls were so creepy.
Oh, so amazing. With the dancing and the movement, as a dancer and as a former character, I appreciate it so much. Just this episode really checked off all the boxes. This is quality content. This is quality TV right here. And I feel like I want to watch it over and over. So what were some of the... Because we can't sit here and talk an hour about the episode. I want to,
or can we?
But what were some of the your favorite things that stood out to you in this episode?
Well, the thing is that this episode had
all of it. It's so good.
Had a lot packed into it.
Yes.
It's starting to wrap up some corners. We learned more a little bit. I have to admit, my biggest oh my gosh moment was when Atticus is showing his dad the book.
The Lovecraft, for context, it's the Lovecraft Country book that he came out of the portal with. Mm-hmm. And in the previous spoiler review, we did note that the book it was written by the author George Freeman, and we're thinking,
his uncle.
What the F? Yeah. Uncle George died at the very beginning of the show, so we were assuming that he went into an alternate reality.
Yes.
Because it's kind of like a time and space sort of a portal. We really didn't know because all we saw last week was Hippolyta's journey, which is great, who was also not back for this episode.
Which brings up another question.
Where is she?
Where is she? When is she coming back? Yeah. She seemed to have this full completing arc to where she did go into the future and passed all of the tests.
Oh, you wait. I think
kind
she's
of a thing. I'm hoping that she's going to make an awesome kind of almost like a superhero entrance kind of a thing.
Lance.
Boom! Kind of has that Thor and Wakanda moment.
Amazing.
Kind of a thing. But yeah, there's still so many questions wrapped around that machine and that it's broken and that Atticus just got out of there and then we have this actual historical moment about Emmett Till.
About basically at the very beginning, okay, hold on. I'm going to pause because we got to finish what we were just saying. Now we're jumping all over the place because we're both very excited, but one of the biggest, because there were many in this episode, one of the biggest moments was that it was revealed when Montrose and Tick were sitting down to have a conversation. We actually get to see, we saw that book tucked away at the back of Tick's waistband, Lovecraft Country. And I was wondering, okay, he's just carrying it around because it's kind of like a memory, of Uncle George, up until the reveal, which was that George Freeman was not Uncle George. George Freeman is Tick and Letty's son, who they named George, and they showed a picture because I was like, well, that's not Uncle George at all.
Yeah.
And, sorry.
No, I was just saying, yeah, that reveal, and I was like, that doesn't look like a young Uncle George.
Certainly
and then he goes,
not.
That's my son. And I was like, Oh my God!
There were a lot of screaming at our TV moments. We're so sorry to our neighbors because for an entire hour and however long the show was, we basically screamed through it. Another one of the things that I really like that they tied in to this episode, specifically about the book of Lovecraft Country. As you guys know, I'm listening to it right now. They actually addressed that. Oh, they've been some changes. They addressed that Dee, Hippolyta and George's daughter in the show, in the book, is actually Horace. And they also noted that George did not die in Artem, which also happens in the book. And I can't remember what else, but there were some of the notable things that they mentioned when they were talking about there were several differences in the book. So that is really interesting. I absolutely love that. And then you wanted to kind of go back to the beginning of the show where we saw, and that juxtaposition of, granted the song is called One Cruel Summer, but it was got that kind of like 80s synth poppy upbeat sound.
They've done that with the soundtracks a lot recently in these episodes.
They play really well with the sound that they use to overlay whatever scene that to kind of emphasize and kind of drive and give you that nice juxtaposition. To kind of play off of that really sad, awful moments that we know, because you're thinking, what are they gathering for? And it was to mourn, and it was for the viewing of Emmett Till, who was beaten, killed, and like lynched essentially because they put a barbed wire around his neck, and then they tied him to that like heavy fan thing, and they dragged him through the him in the river. And of course, everybody lined up to pay their respect, but it was so, and Emmett's mom wanted everybody to know her son died the most horrific way possible. She decided to have an open casket. Yeah,
and that's how what everyone's started in line waiting for, and they see the body. I can't remember how old they said Emmett was. 14. He was like 14 when they put in these historical events that happened. So
things like this happen, yeah.
And like to bring it more to life, it gives this show more of a powerful message that they're trying to tell. But the power behind that, and then the power behind it seemed like Ruby and Letty were starting to kind of talk to each other more and let each other know more about the story. And she flat out told her all about Christina, all about William, all about the potions. And I'm just like, this is where everything starts to really just ramp up forward.
Yes.
Everyone's starting to let each other know of each other's secrets. Gia makes an appearance. And I really wish she would have been in there a little bit more. I'm really wondering in which direction her character is going to go at this point.
That was, if there was anything that I would say like pick on for this episode, it would be the short duration of Gia that we got, because she got such an amazing episode, great backstory, and have been sort of like interconnected throughout the story via phone calls with Tick, and as well as we saw when they were at the Braithwaite mansion, that she kind of came through and they were having a fight. So we've been dying to kind of have her and Tick reunite, as in they gotta talk. And it's really interesting how short of a time there was, because she's kind of walked into a really interesting situation of now Tick and Letty are together. Tick is denying what they had was real, because she essentially is a kumiho, so he doesn't count that is real, but she knows that he dies, she just doesn't know how. So it's a kind of, I don't think she's left. I think she left for the time being to kind of out of respect. I don't think she is done. So here's hoping that there's only 2 more episodes left. Episode 9 and episode 10. I would love to see Gia. If not in 9, definitely episode 10. That would be really, really awesome. Christina was in this episode a lot.
Oh yeah, this whole episode revolved a lot on her appearances.
Yes. So Christina, after we see her, well, we see technically Christina, but also technically William, coming back up to the house, finding Ruby. Ruby is in mourning. She, was at Emmett Till's viewing, and she was at Emmett's viewing, and she's hurt, feeling a lot of despair, frustration, and fear. Finds William, and they kind of this interesting moment of needing that intimacy, but she takes the potion. There was a whole conversation about that, which I find interesting, where Ruby explains why she took the potion and she did what she did, and then Christina's view of it, and somehow by Ruby's reaction to what Christina was saying to her, I don't want to say that Christina was wrong either.
No.
So there's a little parts of both of the reason why she did it.
And even though that scene was their love scene was such, it was so weird to see all of this emotion, and then yet at the same time how Ruby's skin was peeling off. They do their special effects on this show are through the roof, and I'm just sitting there and we're actually eating a little bit. I'm like,
we probably
like, oh my God.
Stop eating during the show, having dinner during the show, but that's when it comes on around that time. So more with Christina. Christina meets with both Atticus and Letty separately. Atticus, in exchange of giving her the key to the portal, she shows him the symbol for protection. So she shows him that, and they talk a little bit about how he wants to learn the incantation and spells, and she's like, well, here's what you need: an intention, a body, and of course the spell itself. I think that's what she mentioned. I don't remember putting that down. Now, with Letty actually met with Christina to trade for the negatives that she took of the Book of Names. And she wanted Christina to make Tick vulnerable, because they had talked about Tick would die, they just don't know how.
Yeah.
And Christina said, no, but I can make you invulnerable. And which Letty at first refused, but then took it, which to me as an audience it makes sense, because she's carrying a baby as well.
Yeah, so
I don't know if Christina knows that. She probably does somehow.
Oh, you know what? That is a very good question. I mean, she does. I think she did mention it before somewhere slightly to kind of hint at the fact that she does know.
I mean, I just wouldn't put it past her.
But I may have misread it. I'd have to go back and check.
Yeah.
But it's so weird. Who knows what at what time kind of thing. What does Christina know? And they're really starting to build a lot more on Christina's character.
Yes.
We know that she is now going for the immortality spell. The fact that she actually, after having that conversation with Ruby at the very end of this episode, decides to kill herself.
She paid to get herself killed in the same manner that Emma was killed.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if she actually does have feelings for Ruby, and she's trying to feel that sympathy. She's trying to...
She's flat out told Ruby no.
Yeah.
I don't feel anything. I was like, that sounds like the right answer that Christina would say. And since we're on the topic of Christina, that was the other thing that's different when they were mentioning the books, that Christina in the books is not Christina. Yeah, but is Caleb. So moving on to probably my other favorite parts, as there were so many, but let's talk about Dee. Dee is having just a horrible time because her dad dies. Her mom has not returned from this guide trip, and she's frustrated. She's angry. She's feeling a lot of loss. Now she had to go to the wake for her friend, and she's trying to tell. It frustrated me because she was the one that was cursed by Lancaster, so no one else can see what's going on. They're probably thinking she's having some sort of existential crisis. Yeah. When in reality, she's seeing all these horrific...
No, she's actually cursed.
She's actually cursed. She's seeing this horrible thing, but no one's paying her attention because everyone else was so caught up in their own problems that I felt so bad that she was so ignored and basically had to fend for herself at the end. But this brings us to the twins. I know we talked about them in the beginning, but my God, what fantastic imagery and artistry as far as the dances and the movements go. I loved it so much. I didn't catch the name of the performers, but they did a fantastic job. I was frightening, and with the long claws and their eyes and the sudden movements, man, it's so good.
I mean, honestly, you said it while we were watching it. That's how you do horror.
This is how you do horror.
They worked those twins so well into the background and how they slowly would appear or make their entrance. The first entrance when they're coming up the train stairway.
Oh my
I was just
God.
and your reaction is pretty much the exact same reaction that Dee has of just going,
What is that?
What?
Get away from me. Get away. Get away.
Not even that, but you're just like, you can't move. You are so stuck in that fear. You're just so frozen that you can't say anything. You're just transfixed on that terror.
I mean, look, whenever this pandemic goes away and we can get Halloween haunts back again, and if Universal or somebody out there can acquire the theme park rights to do a maze for Lovecraft Country, the twins absolutely need to be in there. Like, it would be a missed opportunity if you don't have them pop out at every single turn together, you know, just, yeah. And plus that would create a lot of opportunities for smaller scale female performers to have a job for the Halloween season, because I will say typically they hire not any specific company, but typically like bigger, taller, scarier.
Yeah. That's normally what the monsters are called for Halloween, or the big, scary.
Big, tall, scary, and that's why you have like, you know, guys on stilts or like things that are there because you don't expect it, and having something towering over you is already very intimidating.
Yeah, but to have that teeny, scary, that come play with us.
I personally think it's much scarier. That's just me personally. But yes, so I would hope that can become a maze in the future, and just do a Simu and putting it out there. And let's go ahead and wrap up this review talking about that final showdown at Letty's house.
Oh my gosh.
After that awesome conversation that Letty and Ruby had, kind of coming to terms with each other, but still also kind of trading words, because she's like, you can't trust Christina. Christina will do this for me. I'm like, I don't...
Who's using who?
I mean, I'm sure she'll do it for you, but she's gonna want something in return, because that's Christina. She looks out for Christina first.
Yeah.
Right? Even though she may actually have true feelings for Ruby, she will still put herself first.
Yeah, it would not, if she had her goals in one hand and Ruby in the other, or people that she cares about in the other, and she's going to go for her goals. It doesn't matter.
Right. And after having this conversation, the cops come because Lancaster was like, look, after his conversation with D
barging in like a boss.
Which, by the way, probably one of my favorite moments. She was like, "You're a pig," and F you. Like, Dee's just had it. She's had it. She's like, "Look, you already done cursed me. What else are you gonna do? I hate you." And so much so that Lancaster said, "You know what? I'm gonna get the Ori myself." But
I love
you
that
can't
moment.
get in the house, just like Christina can't get into the house. So what does he do? He shoots up the house, and I love that they use that moment to show that Letty indeed is now invulnerable because of what she exchanged with Christina. So she's sitting up, watching her beautiful home that she finally was able to purchase to provide a safe place to stay for some folks get destroyed. And of course,
this isn't the first time.
Hopefully the community will come together and help her fix it, but that does really, really suck. Like, I'd be so angry. And just her sitting up with the bullets bouncing off her and the expression on her face really says it all. But the biggest moment is
Atticus making his...
Yeah, coming in, seeing all the cops, you know, and this is after his attempt with doing that spell with Montrose. They didn't think it worked. We didn't think it worked. Until that moment when the guns were all trained on him and Letty's thinking, I'm not going to get there in time. And the monsters comes out of the asphalt. We haven't seen those monsters since like episode 2 or 3.
Maybe,
or 1 or 2?
Maybe, I mean, at the latest, episode 4, but it's been a while since we've gotten to see that multi-eyed monster.
Oh
and I
my
just
gosh.
It's always so satisfying when these monsters just go into the crowd of bad guys and just start ripping them up.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh! That one where the police officer like goes through the window and you see like through the mouth. Ooh. And you're just like, oh! Brutal. Oh, that's brutal. Kind of
brutal and satisfying because they did get Lancaster at the end.
Yes, the fact that they were actually able to get him.
Yeah, so that was pretty satisfying to see.
I think you actually saw him go. Ah.
I don't think that was him. I think that was maybe some. Well, it could be because the car blew up.
That
he
also,
shot at a car and
he was the last one, and I think it was the fact that because it had a close up of the monster and Lancaster, and he ripped off his arm, grabbed him, and flung him.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay,
I think that's what it was.
Wow, it was a lot to take in.
But
and what we see at the end is kind of doing the soothing thing where the monster's like, I did good, didn't I? I did good, pet me. Holy crap, the spell works. So now Tick and Letty have even more to talk about. I don't know if she's going to keep the fact that she traded something with Christina in order to become invulnerable with Tick.
Honestly,
I'm betting she's going to keep that a secret.
Honestly, though, I think Tick would have done the exact same thing. If Tick was presented, hey, here's, if you give Christina
well, he
this...
wanted it. He wanted the invulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he originally wanted, and either one of them got exactly what they wanted. They got just like a portion of what they wanted. So in a way, they are kind of both protected. But...
yeah, she's invulnerable, and he has a pet monster. So yeah, they're pretty well off at this moment. It's kind of like, oh, you want to throw magic at us? Well, here's some magic of our own.
Wow.
We now got magic on our side.
Again, a super fantastic episode. Definitely my favorite. 8 and 6 are my favorite so far. And I just really feel that from the very beginning, since episode 1, the show has just continued to escalate. Mm-hmm. I can't wait to see what 9 and 10 have in store for us. I do hope that Hippolyta comes back. I want to know what happens with Dee, because the twins definitely got her, and they were putting these like scratches in her arm. It looks like really, really messed up when Montrose
it looked like
tried to go
one
and get her.
was drinking Dee's blood, and the other one was upset that she didn't get to her. It's kind of like they were having a competition. Oh, who would get to her first?
Interesting. So a lot to look forward to in the next episode. Thank you guys for hanging out with us and listening to us talk spoilers. If you have any favorite moments from episode 8, basically the entire episode, note your favorite in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. I'm stumbling all over my words because I'm so excited still. I'm still hyped from the episode. If you enjoyed our spoiler talk, make sure you subscribe and come back. So like this video and share and do all that good stuff. We will have a spoiler review for episode 9 and of course the finale episode 10, and we will see you guys then. Bye.